Megan Fox.
Yeah, Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media.
Eat Tucker.
Come that was your last.
Damn it, man. I cried for 2 days.
Megan, thank you very much for that.
So, I can explain the bed thing.
If you don't show up and vote, up your ass. I don't care if you're in the hospital. Crawl to the stake. Crawl there.
It's like Jesus going to the temple. He's like, I got a whip. Get out! Get out! The lovely and wonderful Megan Fox. Not that one.
Not that one. Not the weird one that drinks blood in his toe thumbs.
Megan Fox.
Megan. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. She's the devil.
Megan Fox. Megan Fox.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
You've never met a like me. You want to tangle? You want to go? Holy sh!
Too much cussing on this. I guess we didn't bleep it, so we got to turn it off. But it's.
You pissed off the wrong woman.
Oh my God! I have been assaulted, but Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother.
She's the devil.
Not for publication.
The story.
I'm Megan Fox. Thank you. Cheers.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I guess it's afternoon or evening or wherever you are, because some of you are in England or Australia, around the world. It's lovely to see some of you here from all the places. Something is happening all of a sudden with StreamYard, though. It just almost cut out on me right at the end there, and I don't like it. So hang on 1 second. You want to tango StreamYard? You want to go? I'm gonna refresh my StreamYard. Hold, please. 2 seconds. And I'm back. Let's see if that helps. I am sick and tired, let me tell you, of the StreamYard issues. But anyway, let's move on from there. How was your weekend? I hope it was lovely. I hope it was wonderful. I hope it was everything you wanted it to be. I don't remember what I did this weekend. I guess there was a lot of, stacking wood. I stacked wood. I got a lot of exercise in because and it's amazing. I never stack wood. You can ask Mr. Fox. He'd be like, I don't know what came over her. I don't know why she did what she did. But I walked outside and I noticed that the wood pile was completely empty. We have like a thing for the wood, and one side was totally empty. And I'm like, that's going to be, Mr. Fox is going to have to be stacking that soon. And he just fell on the ice and he hurt his elbow. So I was like, I think I'll just do some of it for him. I'll just take a couple wheelbarrows full. So I start hauling wood, and I don't know, like before I know it, the thing is full, and I have gotten an incredibly good workout. So I filled it up, and then guess what happened? A snowstorm. So it was like it was God. God was like, stack the wood. It's your job. And I did it. And yeah, he fell on his elbow. I'm a little worried about that. And I didn't want him lifting wood. Yeah. They are now at your age incidents, not falls. All right, everybody, you guys have been all asking me what is going on with the Hernandez case. Well, today we're going to find out all about it. For one, I want you guys in mods, if you're in the channel, please take this link that I'm posting in YouTube, and I want you to keep on posting this throughout the day, because today we're going to do a fundraising push for the Give Send Go for the Hernandezes, because there is some exciting news. They have new attorneys, and they're going to need, the goal right now is, oh, how is IT Goatee not modded? Okay, IT Goatee, I will mod you. Hold, please. I have to get onto YouTube to do that on my phone, because you know me and my tech problems. Anyway, they have new attorneys, and right now, the very first thing we need to do is raise about $5,000. That's the first goal. Their total goal is $80,000, but right now they're at like $1,400, and they need a couple more thousand to hit that $5,000 goal for their immediate needs. So if you were going to send a super chat to me today, don't send it directly to the Give Send Go. And if those of you who are wondering, the GoFundMe is closed down. That's right. They did. They closed down the GoFundMe. And that's because Give Send Go is a much better platform. Brad, I have now modded you. You now have a wrench. Okay. All right. And coming to the program to update us on this situation is former foster mother of the Hernandez children, Jennifer Williams. Jennifer, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's get to, for those people who may not know this story, how did it, let's just give them the basic facts of what happened here as quickly as we can. I know that's a tough ask, but
yeah.
Let's go down the facts of the case. Oh, and by the way, folks, in the description of this video, my article about the Hernandez case is linked, which will give you the full background. You can read it. Mods, you can put it in the chat. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So my husband and I have been foster parents for 13 years, off and on. We were currently respite foster parents for the last 2 years, so that's more short term. And we got a call about Emma and Aria in August, and their full-time foster parent was going out of the state. So she needed respite care, and that's where my husband and I met the girls. I don't know if you want me to delve into more of how we got involved with the family from there.
No, yeah, sure. Tell them, because some people haven't heard your initial, your interview with me, and
Sure.
which you can find on my channel. There's an interview with Jennifer Williams, and where she goes into the details of this. But yeah, for those who missed it, it's very interesting. I have never, Jennifer, covered a case where a foster parent spoke out on behalf of the family, and I think that that's really significant here, and why you did that. So just so you know, the reason why the children were taken in the first place was because the baby was brought to the hospital, to Children's Hospital in Atlanta, with a swollen leg. And when they did X-rays, they found some multiple fractures, rib fractures, a possible leg fracture, possibly something in the foot. Very strange. Of course, there are many explanations that could lead to fractures in infants. One of the things for sure is that a low vitamin D diagnosis, which the baby had. But it just seems like the child abuse pediatricians at the hospital didn't spend a whole lot of time looking into alternate theories. They just went within 2 hours and removed these kids. They eventually end up in your care. So what happened after that?
Right. So when the girls got placed with us, we didn't get any background information. We weren't sure why they were in care. You don't usually ask. DFACS will tell you what they want you to know. I started noticing a few things with Emma, the baby, who at the time was 4 months. And I just noticed maybe how she carried herself, her little joints, how she would sit. The shape of her skull was really soft, and it just wasn't appropriate for a 4-month-old. So I started noticing these things, asked my husband if he noticed. She's a beautiful baby, but you could still see these things. Her eyes, the whites of her eyes were more blue and gray than they were white. I reached out to the full-time foster mom who was out of state and let her know that I was kind of concerned. Emma was also constipated. And at 4 months old, you know, I wanted to make sure that I told her what was going on. My response from her was that, oh, did no one tell you? The girls are in foster care because they were physically abused. Emma had a broken leg just a few weeks ago. Well, as I'm reading that text, I'm a little bit floored because no one did tell me. And I would have handled an infant who had a broken leg differently. I would have changed her diaper different.
Oh, sure.
I mean, you know, you don't want to hold them up by the ankles.
Right. You would grab a baby, you know, you grab them by the legs, you lift them up to wipe their butt. And like, I would like, you grab their ankles in one hand and just kind of yank them up. And yes, that would be, it's horrifying. No one told you this. Yes.
It's a big deal. These are things we don't need to know as foster parents, everything to do with a case, but you need to know what protects and keeps that baby safe in the moment. I mean, that's, you know, common sense. So I thought that was odd because the shape of her skull and the way she held her joints didn't seem to really have anything to do with physical abuse. So that was just odd for me. When the girls left, I emailed the caseworker and let her know, which is what I always do, a synopsis of how things went with the kids. I let her know that I did not appreciate not being told that there was fractures in a baby that was placed in my care, and that I really felt strongly that something was going on with Emma medically. I named those things in the email. I think you shared that once. I just named, you know, her little joints. Her skull is a big deal to me. I mean, that's a big deal to have a baby's head, something going on with their skull. It bulged a little bit in the back, so I was just concerned. Well, the caseworker said to me, oh, you know, I'm sorry, I should have told you. I'm sorry I didn't. And we're currently looking into medical evaluations for Emma. So thank you for your insight. And that just was like opposite for me than what the foster mom had said. Because she said, oh, what you're seeing is abuse. Caseworker saying, oh, thank you for this insight. You know, we're working towards this. So I was kind of thrown off by that. And I decided to do some research on the parents, which is not abnormal for me when I have kids in my home, especially if they're here for a long time. I look into the parents for personal safety reasons, things that have happened in the past that I would like to know anything I can about these kids that maybe DFACS, the state, isn't telling me. Well, when I did a very quick search on the parents, I immediately found a mom and a dad, aunts and uncles pleading for help because they were concerned that their baby was sick. They were concerned something was going on with their baby. So that really stuck out to me. And I decided to just continue reading and researching more, and then told my husband I really felt strongly that we needed to call the parents, that I felt like something wasn't right. Because if there was something going on with this baby, why are they being withheld from seeing the baby? And that's what I was learning from reading these posts. I was learning that the family was being kept. They're being kept in the dark. They're not going to doctor's appointments. These are all things that as a foster parent, I know they still have rights to do. When your kids are put into foster care, you don't lose all your rights as a parent. You just now have some oversight over you, right? Checking in on you. And there can be certain rules that the court sets out. So the mom did have some bond conditions that kept her from seeing the baby. The mom also talked about pumping her breast milk while in jail and driving breast milk to a DFACS building. We only had formula for Emma. So these were things that did not make sense to me. And I'm the kind of person, I need something to make sense for me. So I simply reached out to the mom and wanted her to know that the girls had just left my house and that they were doing well, and that I also had concerns about Emma, and I wanted to hear more from her, what she had to say. From there, I offered if they needed anything, I would be happy to help. I ended up testifying at the adjudication hearing, met the family. I'm looking around the courtroom and I'm seeing, over a dozen people, family, friends, in support of this family. I'm listening at this hearing, all these expert witnesses talking about Emma's low vitamin D deficiency. I'm hearing them talk about metabolic bone disease, but they need more tests run. And in my head, why would the state not do more testing? Why are we doing everything we can to keep these kids from their parents? Why aren't we running more tests? And Choa admitted that she had the low vitamin D. I mean,
yeah, and yet their experts kept saying, well, that didn't have anything to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. It's incredible. I find this whole situation like, okay, maybe the injuries were from abuse. Let's give that. It's one of the possibilities on a list of things that it could be. Before you take children from their parents, like you take custody of them, shouldn't you rule out everything but the abuse allegations? And you can do that in a safe environment, by the way. We're not saying that the hospital should have immediately sent these children back home with their parents. It is very possible, or at least the baby, I mean, because the toddler had no injuries, so she was clearly safe at home. So there's no reason to take her at all. But if you were concerned for the baby, why the heck wouldn't you just keep her in the hospital and rule out everything? But that's not what happened. They took the baby from the parents legally within 2 hours of getting to the hospital.
Right.
That's not even enough time to get blood work done.
No.
How on earth do you make that leap? And look, for anybody who's like, well, maybe she was abused. Fractures are a big deal, and those are a lot of fractures. I agree. It looks scary. At the same time, parents have rights, and we need to make sure we're protecting them. Nicholas, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. Welcome, Viking Raiders, to the stream. We are speaking with Jennifer Williams, who was the former foster respite caregiver for the Hernandez children, who noticed something was not right with Emma, and it didn't look like abuse. To Jennifer, it looked like something else, an underlying condition. Jennifer, what was your experience before seeing another baby that looked very similar to Emma, and what alerted you to maybe there's something else going on here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was a newborn photographer, a family photographer for years. And I've had hundreds of babies in and out of my studio, gone to the hospital, done, fresh 48-hour sessions. So I'm very familiar with posing babies, holding babies, babies that were born premature, babies with different conditions that you have to, feeding tubes, oxygen tanks come into my studio, just different things that you have to learn how to pose this baby appropriately. And so I had a client with a baby who had OI, osteogenesis imperfecta. Although I think they really considered it more brittle bone disease. It's, all in there together. And same thing, it was an older baby, and you have to position babies with brittle bone disease in a specific way. And they hold themselves differently. Now, there's different levels of osteogenesis imperfecta. So there are some very severe cases out there where it's very obvious that something is going on with this person with this disease. But then there's so many sub-levels that you can't see with the naked eye. I can't explain to you what I saw in Emma outside of just what I've already said, just something off, something that reminded me of this baby, this client that I had had. And when we even had some DFACS workers question, why did you get so involved? You were just respite. Why did you look into the parents? You shouldn't have done that. That can be dangerous. All parents think that they're innocent. All of these things, but no one is really answering the actual question, the question of what's going on with Emma. If I, who had no idea about this, could see something in this baby, isn't that enough for people to say we should do testing? The fact that her vitamin D was so low, and that the hospital, the accusing child abuse pediatricians, put her on a high dose of vitamin D, you don't do that for an abused baby. That's not a cure for an abused baby.
Child abuse does not require vitamin D infusions,
No. Listen, Megan, this is
that.
Yeah, and this part's really important that people need to understand, because there's abuse, right? We all know that abuse exists. I don't think anyone's denying that abuse doesn't exist. The problem is they brought this baby willingly in, noticing things about their baby, right? They say something's going on. Her leg looks swollen. The mom also noted that her skull looked soft. When the mom and dad came together to bring the baby to the pediatrician said, nah, there's nothing going on with her skull. Her head's fine. But we do need to get her leg x-rayed. Well, you can look on the records, and it even tells you that she did have some post swelling on her skull. But no one's giving any explanation for that. Even at court, they didn't discuss that. They're only talking about the rib fractures and the lesion on her leg. They're not talking about the skull. Why would you give a vitamin D supplement and other multivitamin supplements? They gave other multivitamin supplements if you thought it was abuse. You said it perfectly before, because people have questioned, well, if we send a baby home to an abusive situation, then we can't do that. That's on us. We're mandated reporters. We all agree with that. But you said it perfectly. There are ways to check this family. You can do background checks, right? You can go to their house. No one went to their house. They had already decided to remove the kids before anyone went to their house to do a safety check. Why? Why can't you do a background check? They claim that they did medical background check on both parents. Mom was born in Thailand in her
how did they do that?
parents' house. She didn't have medical records. So what did you run? What did you do to show this family? On the other side to it is how much they were striving, the state is striving to make this as difficult as possible for this family. Okay, I've seen kids.
God, I've never seen anything like it. They are charging Matt and his wife Taki with 4 counts of felony child abuse, right? Each. The judge has ordered that neither one of them may speak to one another, and they can't live in the same house.
Yeah.
So they have made one of them homeless by default. The state should never have the power to make you homeless. We're talking about innocent people accused of a crime, but innocent unless proven guilty. And they are bankrupting this family. The state is bankrupting them and emotionally traumatizing them because a husband no longer has his support, his wife, and a wife no longer has her support, and neither one of them either have their children.
Right.
And we didn't even get into the part where they first put them with the aunt and uncle, and then the baby's bruises got worse. And instead of being like, oh, well, maybe this is an underlying thing, they're like, they're abusing her too. Yeah. And maybe they let the mom come and abuse the baby in their house. It's absurd. It's absurd.
That's crazy. And that was part of me reading and looking into this family to say, okay, DFACS is supposed to look for relatives, right? We're supposed to find fictive kin, blood relatives, keep kids out of foster care. That's what we're supposed to do. So that was part of it too. Why are they insinuating this aunt and uncle let the mom come in? I know there's bad people out there. I'm not disputing that, but there is a way to look into people. It is not that hard to check on people, talk to people, sit down, do background checks, and find out if these people are shady or not. It's really not that hard. And they didn't do that. They literally just said, well, they probably let the mom come over. That is a horrible assumption when a baby has random bruising all over her leg. And I've seen the pictures, Megan. This isn't handprints.
It didn't happen just in their care either. It happened in daycare while she was in foster care. The baby had discoloration on an arm or a leg. I don't remember which one.
The leg, the foot.
The leg, a foot, a discoloration that was so concerning to the people at the daycare that they reported it to the hospital, right? Didn't they take?
They reported it to DFACS, and DFACS claimed they took the baby to the hospital, but the hospital was too busy to see her. So no one knows.
So she keeps having these skin discolorations happening even outside of her parents' care. Mm-hmm. And this is still not enough evidence for these people to go, whoa, 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 we made a mistake. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's look through things. Now, I have listened to some of the state's case or the hospital's case, and I hear them making their arguments that sound real slick about, oh, well, we did do that. Oh, it's not rickets. It can't be this. It can't be that. We did the tests. It came back negative. We did all of these things. We didn't. I'm just not sure I believe them. I want a second opinion. I want an outside opinion.
Yes, that's what the parents have asked. They have requested this. We want testing for our baby. Yes. You need to remember when they brought their baby in, Megan, people might be having this idea the way that they painted this. She came in no bruising at the time that the parents brought her in. Okay, it was just leg swelling, no bruising. How do you break a baby's leg and their ribs forcefully with abuse without leaving bruising?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how you would do that.
Also, it should be noted that mom showed the doctor a photograph, or maybe it was dad. It was mom or dad. Dad showed the doctor a photograph of a bruise that they had seen somewhere near the baby's head, right behind the ear. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they had seen a bruise there, taken a picture of it, but it was gone by the time they took the baby to the pediatrician. But they had a picture. So he pulls out more evidence against himself to show to purposefully show to someone in authority, hey, by the way, look at this bruise. Obviously not thinking they think I did this. They're just trying to figure out what is wrong with my baby, my new baby. Yeah. My new baby is, this is a tiny baby. How old was she when she was taken into the hospital?
3 months.
3 months. That's a tiny baby.
Right.
And imagine any mom, and I don't, this is maybe stereotypical, but it's true. All the Asian mothers I've ever known, all the Asian ladies I've ever known, love children so much, and their parenting style is so gentle. Like it's just like Asian moms are just the greatest moms. They are just so in it, and they're so overly like loving with their children. All of the Asian moms I've ever known are like this. It's
very family oriented too.
Family oriented. This woman, I've heard her testify, I've heard her speak. There is no possibility that this woman is a child abuser. I'm sorry, this is craziness. She's been a worried mother, worried sick, something's wrong. In fact, she knew there was something wrong with this baby from the very beginning. Her first baby, who was the toddler who was also taken away from them, was a different baby. She was much different. She could tell, and when you're a mom, you can tell the differences between your children very easily. One of them will sleep more, the other one will cry more. She could tell there was something wrong. So she's trying to get someone to give her an answer. Like, what's going on with this baby? This baby has something going on. And I can't believe that there was no one who actually, did they not test the baby for vitamin D at birth or something? Why didn't they give her a vitamin D supplement from the beginning? Because they're holding that against mom too.
Right. Because they did give with their older, with Aria, they did give vitamin D supplement.
But on pediatrician recommendation.
Yes. Nobody said that with Emma. And Megan, I breastfed my 2 biological kids. Nobody ever told me to supplement vitamin D. I never did.
Nobody told me that.
But I was in that courtroom when prosecution said, every breastfeeding mother knows you have to give your baby vitamin D supplement. So she painted the mom to be this horrible person who purposely kept vitamins away from her baby.
People do not know that. People do not. I've never heard that before.
No.
I exclusively breastfed all 3 of my children for the first several months of their lives. No one ever said to me, give them vitamin D supplements.
No, I never heard that.
Never. Even the one who was failure to thrive. I had a failure to thrive, my firstborn. No one ever said give her vitamin D supplements ever. So this idea that it's common knowledge it's ridiculous.
No,
Casey
and
it was just super chat says, Megan, don't you find it interesting that it's another foreign-born mom? Yeah, I do, and I think that there is an English barrier there. It's not her first language, although she speaks it pretty well. But I think that there is this thing we've noticed in the medical community where these highly educated doctors look down on people who do not speak English, like Beata Kowalski and like Taki Hernandez. If it's not their first language, somehow they're discriminated against, and they're treated like they don't know what they're talking about, or that they can be railroaded, or perhaps they need to be taught how to do things. And I think that that's really dangerous. I hate it. And remember, guys, today I would love for you to send your super chats to the Give Send Go which I have put in the description. And I will try to keep track of what I get today. And I will send over the super chats that I get today over to that Give Send Go as well for the Hernandez's legal fund, because they have a new attorney. Let's talk about the new attorneys for a minute. If you can, if you're allowed to. How did this come about where they've gotten the attention now of this new group of attorneys, if you can say?
I don't know.
If you can't, we'll move on. We can move on.
I can say that I'm excited because people need to realize that sometimes court-appointed attorneys don't give you the time of day. And that's the financial burden, is because they need to pay for somebody. They need to pay for a powerhouse attorney who cares, who picks up the phone, who responds to your emails, responds to your concerns. And that's what they have now. So it's going to be really, really good. It's really important.
Yeah, it's incredibly important to have great attorneys who can, and nothing against court-appointed attorneys, because some of them can be very good, but also at the same time, a lot of them are overwhelmed with a caseload where they can't give the attention to your case because they're just overloaded. And that's an unfortunate thing. I actually think that I have thought to myself many times, like, what would I do if I went to law school? I would become a public defender. Absolutely, 100%. I would be a public defender, because those people are some of the most underrepresented people in this nation. It is true that you can buy justice in this country, and that is a sick reality that we need to face and fix. There's something wrong with that. And because that's the system we live in, I'm begging you today to send your super chats to the Hernandezes, because they need to afford their new attorneys. The attorneys will not be able to do it forever for nothing, or for, whatever it is they can scrape together on the salary of a waitress and a retail operator. Her husband, I believe, lost his job after the allegations came out, and I don't know if he's been able to secure another one.
He does, yes.
He did. He got another one. Thank God.
Listen, these people are so amazing. They're not going to let anything keep them down. While this is hard, while this is difficult, they are go-getters. They're going to do what they need to do. They're going to support themselves. Matt's doing an amazing job with making sure income is constantly coming in. We appreciate, the Send Give Go is really helpful. They don't complain about the money part. That's not their goal. We need the money. Unfortunately, as you said, these expert witnesses who are amazing for your case, they're very costly.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Lawyers are costly. Good lawyers cost a lot. And it's unfortunate, but you're right. We do pay for justice. And I never really realized it.
You absolutely can. If you have the money, you can buy your way out of anything in this country, and it's really sad. It's sick. This is not the way justice should be. And also, when you're going up against the state, they can outspend you. They can buy a prosecution if they want to, because they can spend any amount of money. There are no caps on what the state can spend to put you in prison, which is another problem that we need to stop. The state should be capped at the same amount of money that the public defender can spend. In the Cindy Absug case, her public defender told her that he wasn't able to put her expert on the stand because they didn't have the budget for it. Yet at the same time, the state hired 2 or 3 experts that they paid to testify against her and put her in jail. It's not okay. It is not okay. So we need to do something and start. Oh, and by the way, speaking of doing something, if you go into the description of this video, you will find links to our action document. Now I have on Google Docs. So let me go to Docs. Let me pull it up. Docs.google. We are still calling these people. We took some time off because of the holiday and everybody's closed, but we need to continue to raise awareness. And that's what we have been doing on this program. We've been doing it all over the place. I have written you scripts. You do not have to use them. You may use your own scripts if you would like. You can write your own script. You can write your own letter. But let me share this with you guys. The link is in the description, and this is a list of not only call scripts but numbers, okay, to call Governor Kemp, call Senator John Ossoff. Senator John Ossoff, by the way, is one of the most important people in Georgia that you can contact about this issue. He is currently investigating DCFS or DFACS in Georgia. He is currently investigating them for losing 1,700 foster kids. 1,700 children have gone missing in Georgia under the what is the word I'm looking for? The power of DFACS here. Those children have gone missing. Imagine 1,700 of people's children were taken from their homes, given to the state, and the state has now lost them, and they do not know where they are. They are under investigation. Here are the numbers that you can call. Here are the members of the Senate Subcommittee on Human Rights that are looking into foster care. Now, these people are in different states than Georgia, but we don't care because they're on the same committee with Senator John Ossoff, which means that they know what's going on in Georgia. That's Senator Blumenthal. We have Senator Peter Welch, Marsha Blackburn. Call her. Marsha Blackburn she's a bulldog on this topic. Everybody needs to be making these phone calls every day on this. I have given you access to this because there is a link in the description. I have made up my own little, if you're calling and you're worried about not knowing what to say, I've written scripts. You can write your own or you can use mine. If you're in state, there's one for local, there's one for out of state here, because it doesn't matter if you're calling from even out of the country. In fact, I would love it if you're calling from England and or writing letters from England and saying, this situation is so bad, we've heard about it across the ocean. That's how bad this situation is. That's how badly somebody needs to step in and do something. It makes a difference. This is the type of thing you do. And make sure you stay calm and polite, by the way, because there's nothing these people like more than to lie and say that they're being harassed. But this is the way our country works. We actually have in a republic the right to talk to and call and contact our representatives. They're supposed to represent the people. And if enough people tell them, we need you to look into this situation, they will. Now, I also have all the DFACS people. I have their emails. I mean, it's not going to do much to email them other than to let them know that people are watching this situation. They're not going to respond to you. They're going to tell you it's confidential, blah, blah, blah. But I still suggest that you send them nicely worded emails, nicely worded letters to say, this situation is unacceptable. This is not the way we expect child welfare to behave. We expect you to actually look at exculpatory information, exculpatory evidence, not leave things out, and to do a better investigation than this. We have Forsyth County officials who they say they have no authority or control, but I don't care about that. I just want them to be bothered by this. I want them to know that people are looking at them because they can be held accountable. I don't believe that none of these people can call somebody at DFACS and go, what the hell is going on? I don't believe them when they say they can't do that. And you shouldn't believe them either. Keep calling them. Who else do we have? We have the State Advisory Board. I've put all the State Advisory Board. These are the people who advise DFACS, and they are supposed to be able to investigate cases. We've put all their information here too. Dr. Fran Chastain, Randall Hambrick. I've got all their contact information. Make sure you contact them. Send these people. Don't let them get a night's sleep. And at the end here, we have media contacts. Media contacts here. This really works, doesn't it, Jennifer? You were we did this, we contacted these people, we told them they needed to do this story, and you were contacted. The family was contacted by at least one of them, right?
Yes, we did. We were able to do an interview. It's pretty extensive though. She's working with at least 12 families from the same accusing hospital.
Wow. So
it'll be not a regular 5-minute news stream. I think it will be a little bit lengthy from this investigative reporter.
Do you have any idea on timeline on that, when that's going to
I think
happen?
February is her goal.
Ooh, wonderful. Well, you make sure you keep me updated on that, and make sure we get the coverage, because I would just absolutely love to keep that going.
Because what you said is so true. The oversight part, this should terrify people and anger people, that you have a situation, innocent, not innocent. You have a situation where people are saying, we think something is going on that should not be going on, and we want someone to oversee this situation. How are we being told no? Why are we being told no? Why can DFACS do whatever they want? And we know they've broken policy, multiple policies. Why can they do that? Matt Hernandez and I talked the other day that even if you are a pizza delivery boy, if you don't bring someone their pizza or bring their pizza and throw it on the floor, you're going to get reprimanded by your boss. Something's going to happen. These people should not be able to treat this family so wrong, ignore them, be rude to them, openly rude to them. You should not be able to treat people like that and not have oversight. That is a problem, and it should bother people. They're not God.
Look, I have been reporting on DCF and their criminality for years. And let me tell you something, not only do they not get reprimanded, but you look at any one of Sean McMillan's cases where he has won millions of dollars against them, proving that they left out exculpatory information, that they did warrantless seizures, that they fabricated evidence. They got promoted, Jennifer.
Yes.
None of them were fired. They were all promoted.
They're just moved around. Nobody gets fired from DFACS. You just get moved.
One of them got moved into a training position. Can you imagine? They put a woman who fabricated evidence in charge of training other workers. This is outrageous, and it has to stop. There is no oversight. The oversight of DFACS is the Department of Health and Human Services. Well, guess what else Health and Human Services does? They fund them. They get the funding for them. How can you have the person in charge or the department in charge of getting the money for all of these places? How can you put them in charge of looking into corruption? They don't want to find corruption because then the money will stop flowing.
Exactly.
It's an absolute sham. You know who should be investigating DFACS and all child welfare? I believe the U.S. Marshals. I think they're the right ones to do it. Because for one, the U.S. Marshals have unique and personal experience finding kids who were sex trafficked through foster care. And they are the ones who know how bad it is, and they have nothing to do with foster care. And they have no budget that's related to foster care. So I think the U.S. Marshals should be put in charge of investigating them, or perhaps special prosecutors. But it's time to investigate and audit every single child welfare agency in this whole nation, starting with Georgia. I want to see Georgia go down for this. Georgia, we watched that Senator Ossoff's one of his Senate committee hearings with the head of DFACS in Georgia. And it is maddening to watch this woman just sit there and talk word salad around 1,700 missing children. I would have had her in handcuffs. I would have had her dragged out of there and stuck in a cell until she told me, who's responsible for the 1,700 missing children.
But nobody's being held responsible. There's nobody who gets into trouble or gets reprimanded, and they don't care. They don't seem to care. And I can say that from personal experience. This is not me just doing a blanket judgment. Caseworkers I've dealt with, which is dozens and dozens and dozens, they genuinely do not show a concern for children. I am not saying there aren't good caseworkers out there. I am positive that there are good people everywhere, but I've not dealt with them. I've had good DFACS.
And you've got 13 years in the foster care system.
And the only great ones I know of is an investigator with DFACS. I know she genuinely cares about kids, and a couple of office workers who are they're not caseworkers. They don't directly deal with children. They deal with the foster home as a general, with the foster home. As far as actual caseworkers, I don't see it. They don't show it to me. We've had teenagers in our house who cannot stand their caseworker because their caseworker shows them no empathy, no love, no support, no care. That's just facts.
I feel like a lack of empathy is something that we are struggling with as a species right now. I feel like humanity has really lost the ability to feel empathy for one another. And it's unfortunately, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but I feel like because we are being run by psychopaths on every level in power, it's like rubbing off on the citizenry. Their lack of empathy for us is making us less empathetic towards one another. And a great example of this, I didn't even think I was going to bring this up today, but this has really been bothering me since I saw it, is this viral video of this poor man having a mental breakdown in the Bass Pro Shops that went around on Twitter. And we were all laughing at it, including me, to begin with, before we heard some extra context of the story and saw more of the video. And this poor man at first it was funny. He's running naked through the Bass Pro Shops and he jumps into their big fish tank and he's swimming around and having a great time, totally naked. And everyone was making shrinkage jokes, which were funny, admittedly funny. But then someone reported that he had been in he had run his car into a pole outside with his wife and child inside. And the person who was helping the wife and child found out from her that he's a veteran who was recently diagnosed with a common mental disorder. I don't know what it was, they didn't say, and was given medication that he had a horrific reaction to. And the VA couldn't see him, couldn't make an appointment for him for 3 months. And so in the meantime, this poor man is having a psychotic break. And instead of being treated with empathy, the police officers, after he suffers a 10-foot fall from this pool onto a concrete floor, hitting his head, police officers handcuff him, which, okay, I'll give him that. You can handcuff him behind his back, but he's knocked out totally. Then they start trying to flip him over. Now, what if he had a broken neck? What if you're not supposed to flip him over? The guy wakes up, starts struggling with police, and now they start dragging him face down by his wrists, naked on concrete, dragging him. They probably dislocated both shoulders. This is a man who is in a crisis.
Yeah.
I don't understand how, and everyone is laughing at him. Everyone on social media is like laughing. I'm one of the only people going, am I the only one seeing police brutality and a lack of empathy? And where the hell are the people who were so concerned about mental health problems in this country and police brutality? Well, we're just all going to laugh at this video. Jennifer, there's a problem. There's a problem with empathy. We are lacking it. And it's like when you come across people who have it, you get treated like, I try to tell people to be empathetic and I'm being told there's something wrong with me.
Right.
You know,
well,
I think we have a problem.
You're making a good point, because a lot of people, and hear me when I say this, a lot of people, they'll say, well, you're so amazing that you stood up for this, and you and your husband standing up. Our home got closed because of this.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
So our
she was
home got
retaliated
closed
against.
Yeah. So why are you a great, awesome person because you're standing up for something right? That does not make my husband and I awesome people because we're saying something isn't right here. A family is being ripped apart financially, physically, emotionally. They're being tormented. Why are we awesome people for standing up for that? Shouldn't we all be standing up for that? When you see something going on that's wrong, we should all say, wait a minute. Now, obviously, out in the real world, you need to be careful. You don't involve yourself with other people's situation. But these kids were in my home. I hugged them. I held them. When Aria missed her mom and dad, I was with that little girl.
And I'm so sad that Jennifer signed up to try and get them back in her house full time. Jennifer said, I'm willing to take them. I'm willing to take them since you keep moving them around. They went to 6 different foster homes during the 6 different homes.
At least 6 respite homes.
Her husband were willing to take them on long term. And they were told, not only were they told no, their foster respite home was closed down. This is outrageous. You are not related to the Hernandez family. You did not know them until this, you had their children in your house, correct?
Right. That's correct.
Why are they, Sarah has a good question. Why are they punishing Jennifer? Jennifer, what do you think? What do you think is the reason they are punishing you?
So just to be clear, we had considered closing our home. You know, I've said this multiple times, and I want to make sure for anyone new following, we had considered closing it because after seeing how Forsyth County DFACS behaved during that 3-day adjudication hearing, they were extremely rude, vindictive. They were bragging about already terminating parental rights on this family. I went home brokenhearted and scared. I felt like they could retaliate against our family. I have children. I felt nervous. My husband agreed. We were going to just close our home and be done. As a few days went on, we said, we don't want to close our home. We like foster care. We want to continue being a safe home for kids. And what if we could get Emma and Aria into our home? So when I called an administrative to explain the situation and give full details, we had a 30-minute talk. Everything was, you know, they're not going to retaliate against you. Just don't take any more kids. She wasn't shocked to hear my fear. She just said, you know, there's not really an official blacklist. Just keep doing respite. Just don't take any kids from this county. And I got off the phone. I said, okay, you've made me feel so much better. This is what we'll do. 2 days later, I get the email, your home has been closed. And it says due to family personal reasons. So now I'm emailing her like, what's going on? We ended this with you agreeing we would stay open. Well, in her words, I use medical kidnapping. And she did not agree with those words and does not agree that DFACS would ever medically kidnap kids. Well, that's just a joke all in itself, because we all know
it happens.
We all know it happens. Do we think all DFACS workers are corrupt and evil? No, I'm not saying that. But
I have some in my audience right now who are horrified by this. I have caseworkers who listen to my show, caseworkers who have been fighting this system for years. Of course, we know that there are good people in the system.
Yes. Well, I never said they're all corrupt, but the claim is we no longer have the same goal as DFACS, which is funny because our goal is keeping kids safe and reunifying with their family. So it's almost a joke to me. What's your goal? Because that's ours. And I'm seeing them. You want to talk about empathy. Guilty or not guilty, DFACS should not be treating parents a certain way out of an opinion. They should be treating them with respect because they're the parents. They should be following policy and telling parents about upcoming doctor's appointments. Megan, that doesn't happen. They're just now starting to get to the point where they are telling parents about certain doctor's appointments, but they're still keeping other doctor appointments from them until after it's happened.
We saw this in the Kowalski case where they were supposed to be getting consent from the parents to do anything to Maya, even though she was in state custody, because the parents retained their legal rights.
Yes.
And they didn't. They did not. And that led to a $260 million judgment for the Kowalski family. I just want to point out that the Give Send Go, you guys have already raised today over $111 for the Hernandez Legal Fund. I would just want to say thank you. Any super chats you wanted to send today, please just send to the Hernandez Give Send Go, and anything you guys do send to me, I'm keeping track so that I will then just send it over to them, because they have a new lawyer. These lawyers need to be paid. This family is going to run out of money at some point because they're facing not only a juvenile case, but two criminal cases that should be dropped. The prosecuting attorney needs to drop this case until they get this worked out. It is absurd to bring 4 felony child abuse charges against this family with no evidence.
They have
nothing. Zero evidence that Matt or Taki did these things, that they broke her bones. None. Zero. Yeah. All they have is unexplained fractures. That's it. There's no testimony. There's no impact, like impact bruises. There's nothing that makes that there. I don't understand how they got a grand jury to indict this, other than the fact that a prosecutor can walk into a grand jury and just lie.
Yeah, you have no idea what happens, and medical, their side, defendant's side, doesn't get to bring any medical evidence. So all of the medical expert paperwork, that doesn't get shown. It's really messed up. It's a very messed up situation. It really is. And, I see a few comments here. People are right. People are outraged when they hear this story, right? They're shocked and they're outraged. But you also have a lot of people who are like, well, they do the opposite. When there is abuse going on and there are kids in bad situations, people can name specific times where they've tried to put in a report and nothing happens. That's true. We have a very backward system going on. And I've seen that with foster kids coming in and out of my house when they make the decision to send kids back home, that I really don't see. Nothing's changed. Why were they in foster care for 6 months? They're going back to the same situation. Like, what's changed? Nothing. So it's very backwards, and it's scary to see them just try and push this so quickly to terminate parental rights with zero evidence that anyone
they're moving towards adoption, right? They're moving towards termination of parental
terminating
rights.
Parental rights.
I mean, it's insane. And here's the crazy part. During the hearing, there was what sounded to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you hear this? But it sounded to me like the county was upset that these two refused to admit what they did. And if they had admitted that they did this, they would have given the kids back.
It's really creepy how I heard it. Basically what you're saying. But yes,
I heard the same thing.
Yes, it's like, because you don't have a story, we're going to keep your kids. But they don't have a story because they don't know. And I think one of the attorneys even made the statement, so if they had just said, we dropped Emma, if we just came up with the story, we dropped Emma, if my client had come up with that, we wouldn't be in this situation. And I believe the caseworker smugly said, well, I can't tell the future, like some stupid remark that didn't make any sense. But yeah, essentially because they walked into a hospital and they didn't have a story to go with these injuries. That's their big blame. And then you even have, people need to know that child abuse pediatricians act as police. Whatever you say to them, they can use against you, and they don't tell you who they are.
Yeah,
and
we need a parents' rights Miranda warning.
Absolutely.
When any of these people, including any caseworker or any child abuse pediatrician who is an actual investigator, not a doctor. I mean, they're doctors, but they're investigating doctors. They need to warn you with a Miranda rights statement. You have the right to remain silent.
Do you want to call your lawyer?
You have a right to an attorney. Anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. We are investigating you for child abuse.
Yes.
This is your chance to either go get a lawyer, or if you want to give up those rights, you need to sign this here and tell me what you want to tell me. This is outrageous that they can get away with this. And why don't we have, and maybe that's the next thing we need to do, is start advocating for, when we talk to these, our representatives, they need to write into law Miranda rights for parents involved with DFACS and with child abuse pediatricians.
You also need a second opinion. Texas just did this, I think, in 2021. Texas ran the second opinions law. We need that in all states, but it should be common sense. So you have a doctor saying, I think you abused your baby. You as the parent should be able to say, well, I didn't. I want to leave this hospital and I want to go get a second opinion on what is going on with my child. It should outrage people that you can't do that. That they can tell you, no, you're not leaving this hospital with your kid. And in fact, they can handcuff you and walk you out the door. That's, if you get on Parents Behind the Pinwheels, you can read story after story after story of all of this. They need to be able to get a second opinion. These people are willingly bringing in their kids.
Did it pass in Texas, or is it still being?
No, it passed in 2021. I forget the actual bill name.
Okay, I'm looking at Dallas Morning News, and so for some reason they didn't follow up afterwards and tell us like what happened afterwards. This was when it was being debated. House advances bill making it harder for CPS to remove Texas youth from their families. And this is good. I think this is it. Is this it? In particular, it would block the Department of Family and Protective Services from removing a child because parents test positive for marijuana. Oh, that's one that kills me too.
Yeah.
So you go and you make marijuana legal everywhere, but you still let DFACS take kids away from parents who smoke pot or have, it's ridiculous.
Edibles, yeah.
Edibles. This doesn't seem to be the one about the hospitals though, because I did read that. Let me see if I can find it, because it's really a good law, and I think it should be national. It should be federal. Like, I'm not a fan of new laws. I actually think we have enough laws. But
sure.
when we have child, I think all the laws are great though when they're geared towards restraining the government. We need more laws that restrain the government. Those are good laws. As long as they're not restraining the people, I'm all for them.
Yeah, and that would help with this whole, well, we can't send kids home to an abusive situation. Okay, well, this second opinions law would have come in really handy for that. A breastfeeding baby would not have had to been ripped from her mother's arms. A 3-year-old would not have had to have been afraid to leave her parents. You have all of these things that could have been worked out in a different way, and everyone still would have been safe.
All right, I found it. House Bill 2536, recently Texas state representatives unanimously approved. Wow, unanimous. That doesn't happen very often, folks. Aimed particularly at supporting parents caring for medically fragile children. This legislation would prohibit CPS from terminating parental rights if the parents seek a second medical opinion if they're accused of child abuse or neglect. And I think what I read was that the cases have gone down since this. That CPS has taken less medically fragile children after this. That's unbelievable. If that's the case, it's like Duh, this should have been done a long time ago. Because if a second opinion is all that it takes is for the state to drop its charges, well, then why aren't we doing this everywhere? And it can't be a second opinion from the state. It must be a second opinion from a third party,
because child abuse pediatricians have a contract with the state. People need to understand.
State agents.
Yes, they're a hammer looking for nails. So it's very easy for them to look at an x-ray and just call it abuse and get paid and be done with it. And that's what's going on. So if you have a second opinion, third party, somebody else, they can do the testing that needs to be done. If you look at all of these cases, Megan, the ones that show up on Parents Behind the Pinwheels, the ones like the Hernandez family, none of these got called by somebody else. Nobody called and reported that something suspicious was going on or a child came to daycare with so many bruises. Every one of those stories are parents bringing their child in to a doctor, their doctor, or a hospital.
What kind of abuser takes their kid to the hospital? It's absurd. It's obscene. If you are abusing your child, you're doing it in the secret. You're doing it in secret.
Yes.
You're not look at Jody Hillenbrand and what's her name? Ruby Frankie. Those two were not abusing children and then taking them to the doctor. They were duct taped in the basement, being malnourished and neglected and abused. They weren't taking their kids to the doctor because it was being done in secret. You're not taking your child that you are abusing to a doctor. It's absurd. It would be very rare to be trying to pull the wool over a doctor's eye. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm sick of it. Here, I just found this great article about the Texas law that we should really spend more time. Maybe we should, when I do some more advocating for how to fix this, both in Florida and around the country, this law is what we should focus on.
Yeah.
New state law allows parents accused of abuse to request second medical opinions. This is on ksat.com, and this is local Texas news. A new state law is giving families more of a chance to prove their innocence in some child abuse cases. This law, by the way, would have helped the Hernandez family if it was in Georgia. If they have, maybe we should send this to Senator Ossoff and to the other Georgia representatives. You know who we haven't put on the list? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah. We need to get MTG involved in this. She needs to get involved in this too. We need to call her office next. Because I think she would care about this, and she likes to be in the news. So maybe she could do something with this. So I often think she's kind of a clown, but sometimes a clown is what you need. State Senator Lois Kolkhorst authored Senate bill, and again, this is in Texas, and Governor Greg Abbott signed it into law last week. The new law focuses on situations where the child's injury might actually be a medical illness. The idea that it's taken till 2023 to get this done or whatever, it just makes me sick.
Yeah.
5 years ago, listen to this. 5 years ago, Timothy Lee Timmerman Jr. woke up to find his 4-month-old son, Tristan, having a seizure. Oh, I can't even imagine what it's like to be these parents with medically fragile children, you guys. I can't. I have relatively healthy children. My one daughter had to have an emergency appendectomy, and it was the worst 24 hours of my life, just the worst 24 hours of my life. And she hasn't been in the hospital since. I can't even imagine what parents go through when they're in the hospital, when they're seeking help and their fingers are being pointed at them that they did this. And they basically live their lives in hospitals because they have medically fragile children. I can't even imagine the stress that comes along with that, even without being accused of abuse. You're talking about already a family who is already under an immense amount of stress and immediately deciding that, they're making it up or they're making their kids sick. It's so rare and unusual for that to actually happen. We've got to take a step back and say, hold your horses, state. In Timmerman's case, let's see. Wait, hold on. I missed something. Let's go back here. He woke up to 4-month-old Tristan having a seizure. He and his wife, Anne Marie, rushed their child to a hospital like any good parent would do. Yeah. He had a CAT scan. He had a subdural hematoma. We know now that behind the scenes, they have to make a call to CPS about this, Timmerman said. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with making the call because that you are a mandated reporter and you have to investigate. Where it goes wrong is when these investigators, like you said, are a hammer looking for a nail instead of looking for exculpatory or other explanations. They just want to nail you for abuse. Child Protective Services contract specific medical this is important, folks. They contract medical experts across the state to look at cases that may have been caused by abuse or neglect. That's a conflict of interest. They should not be paying these the state.
The people who is claiming the abuse are out looking to say, what do you think about this? I think it's this. Well, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, they're basically, and we said this with Dr. Sally Smith in the Kowalski case. It's like you're justifying your own existence by finding abuse. If you never find abuse, the state's going to be like, why do we pay this person?
Yeah.
If she's not finding, you're not finding enough abused kids, Sally. Get in there and find some more kids.
You know, it's a subspecialty. Go out and find it. Well, of course, that's what they're going to do.
I mean, this is why Dr. Who was that? Newberger. Dr. Newberger in the Kowalski case was so amazing because here's a man who literally invented the child abuse specialty. He invented it. He was the guy, he climbed the mountain and carved it into stone himself. And he's saying, and we should take him very seriously, that he knew the way they wanted to form this specialty was going to create a group of people who were just in it to thumbs up or thumbs down child abuse with no deeper explanation, no deeper research, no multidisciplinary approach, which he believed was dangerous. And we clearly are seeing the results of that here in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in Florida. We are seeing in Colorado with the ABSUG case. The Pennsylvania case, by the way, you guys, I'm getting into that real soon. The Pennsylvania case is coming out, and we are going to be doing it here on this channel. And this is where over 100 families have been accused of abuse by one child abuse doctor.
Oh.
And the auditor of the Lehigh County is a damn hero. His name is Mark Pinsley, and he has blown the whistle on this. He is the county auditor. He has blown the whistle on DCF. He's looking at their funding and he's going, why are we funding these people? Because they are out of control. They are torturing families. This man, I have spoken to him many times on the phone. He has called me. He's reached out to me. He sees that I'm one of the only people covering this stuff. And he is going to be on this program soon. And what he is doing in Pennsylvania is heroic. It is, but like you said, Jennifer, it's like, why should it be heroic? But I'll tell you, the reason is because you will come up against, they're already gunning for his job.
Yeah.
This is when you threaten the funding of these billion-dollar
you take away their money. Yeah.
They will come for you. In Timmerman's case, in Houston, the experts concluded that Tristan's injury was caused by abuse. I didn't do anything to my child. It's like I lost the ability to speak. I couldn't even fathom what they were saying, Timmerman said. The state took custody of the baby while court hearings continued. He was placed with Timmerman's in-laws. Well, at least in his case, he got to go to family.
Yeah.
During that time, he sought second medical opinions that eventually revealed why his son had a seizure. He had benign hydrocephalus, well, easy for you to say, and he had this blood condition, and those things were never investigated. Of course not. So this is what now went towards this law, and he testified during a state Senate bill, during the arguments, and it's now signed into law.
Mm-hmm.
But I have heard that the cases now are going down in Texas. And
yes, I read that. And I that makes sense to me that it would do that, because now you're holding someone accountable also. Once you shed light on darkness, and that's what I think this is. I think this is darkness. I think this is corruption. We involved. And when you shed light on that, people are held accountable. We need to have transparency when it has to do with government officials, doctors, law enforcement. They should be transparent for us. Absolutely. All of this, the money part that we've talked about with the Hernandez family, they're going to need counseling when they are back together as a family. This is very traumatic, Megan, as anyone can imagine. You've not just had your children taken from you. You have a no contact with your spouse, a spouse you've been married to for 12, 13 years. You can't even send them a text message. I've been at the courthouse with this husband and wife, and they can't even console each other. Do you know
This
how
is like
wrong
a judge
that is?
telling Beata she's not allowed to hug her child.
Oh
And
my gosh,
this
yes.
is sick. They are innocent people who have been accused of a crime, but they have not been to trial, which means they have all of their rights afforded to them as
not
American
in
citizens.
family court. That's what I've decided about.
Did you? But wait,
obvious.
this is criminal court. This is criminal court that they were told they can't speak to one another, right?
Yes, but I think because it's intertwined with juvenile court, family court, that seems to be the big hiccup. That seems to be the problem.
That's crazy. Has the new, and if you can't answer this, don't answer it, but have the new attorneys started working on anything to stop that, to put them back together?
Yes.
Is there anything they can do? File a motion? Okay, good. I'm glad.
There are
because
things in place.
Were they
yeah.
confused? Were they confused when they heard about this?
Everybody is confused.
I heard that Forsyth County is the only place they're doing this in Georgia.
Yeah, that's what we were told. It's just something that they can do.
Speak to the differences, by the way, because you were before your foster home was shut down because of retaliation. You were primarily taking kids from, was it Franklin County?
Yeah,
so
like we're in a rural area, so
you were
few
asked,
counties.
Right. You primarily dealt with Franklin County, and I know you and I had this conversation about what was your experience like with defects in Franklin County versus Forsyth County. You had never taken kids from Forsyth before, right? Before
we
the
never
Hernandezes?
had.
Okay. If you can, talk a little bit about the differences between the Franklin County DCF and the Forsyth County DCF, because this is very interesting, because you're not the first person I've heard say Forsyth County is a nightmare. Yeah.
So everybody we've ever dealt with, even from other counties, on border with ours, you might have the unempathetic, you might have an apathetic caseworker, you might have someone that doesn't really show any care or concern. But we never saw sneaky. I never felt like I was lied to. I never felt like anybody was trying to do anything corrupt. They were very lazy. Your typical stuff. For Forsyth, I was even told by an administrator in DFACS over Georgia that they beat to their own drum. Those were her words, before she closed our home. They beat to their own drum. Okay, but it's a state. It doesn't matter what a county is doing, right? We have state laws where all of DFACS is supposed to go by the same rules and regulations. So why do they get to beat to their own drum? Why does it get to be a complete nightmare? It shouldn't be. And a lot of the kids missing they're not kids missing from small towns. These are kids missing from big cities, big towns that are being hoteled, that are running away and nobody's checking in on them. So yeah, that's a problem to say that one county gets to beat to their own drum and do what they want to do. Why?
What do you think why do you think that is? Is Forsyth County, are they connected to a larger urban center? I'm not familiar with Georgia.
They're not
County.
far from Atlanta, so it's it's pretty close to Atlanta, to be honest.
But is it mostly suburban? Or is it?
Yeah, I think it's a good mix of city life and suburban. I think it's a pretty good, healthy mix, but it's definitely much bigger than.
Have there been like other scandals in Forsyth County that I'm unaware of? Is Forsyth County known for certain things, for government corruption? Is there like a good old boys network that people complain about? I'm trying to get to the bottom of what makes Forsyth different.
Sure. I think it's big to do with whatever accusing hospital, right? So every town that has a hospital, they don't have a CAP, child abuse pediatrician. These child abuse pediatricians, there's only like 400 in the nation. So they are in big hospitals. They are the ones who have this relationship with DFACS. So I think when you see smaller towns and you see a child that needs a foster home, that DFACS worker is literally just going to start calling, making calls, finding a bed for this child. When you have these big cities and you're having to do with CAP stuff, child abuse pediatricians, that's where I think a lot of the problem is, because they act as a police officer. They're just a doctor. But we were told by one of the regional directors that even if DFACS wants to drop a situation, sometimes they can't because of what a doctor says. That is wrong. That's wrong on every level. You can't just say, well, we started this case and we were going to remove these kids and now we don't think they should be removed, but it's out of our hands because a doctor said.
Yeah, that's what's happened. That happened in the Kowalski case where everybody was pointing fingers at everybody else and saying, "Oh, we have immunity," and but the doctor is acting on her own, and we can't do anything about it. And the doctor is saying, "Well, it's out of my hands because now it's in DCF." And there's a whole lot of that going on where it's not our fault.
I was
There's
in
nothing
the
we can do.
Yes, and I was in the courtroom live in person, sitting there for 3 days. I heard the evidence saying Emma, something's going on medically with Emma. They were able to say we need more testing, but it looks like rickets. We have the low vitamin D, a metabolic bone disorder. There's something going on. And honestly, the judge is like, none of that matters to me. This child abuse pediatrician from this hospital says abuse. That's what I'm going with. That's how it sounded to me sitting in this room. That should be a problem. Why should a judge, they're not a doctor. Why will you listen to one doctor but not these doctors?
Dr. Joe Corcoran actually had spoken about there being a need for a panel of medical experts to review these decisions to help judges, because judges should never be in the position of making a medical decision that they're not qualified. A judge is not qualified for this. And I don't understand why we can't start with the not taking a child away from parents until every other option has been ruled out. This is something that I will never understand. Slidey Pie, thanks for the Rumble rant. Thanks for bringing this to the public. She says $10 for the Hernandez family, and I'll make sure that I get that over to the Give Send Go. But it would be better, you guys, if you gave directly, because Rumble and YouTube takes a portion of super chats. So for today, I would just ask that super chats not be sent here and that they go over directly to the Give Send Go. You can pay that through PayPal, I think. It's very easy. You just go over to the Give Send Go and you click on give. And you can also, by the way, you can share this page. Hold on, let me share the screen so that you guys can see this. Give Send Go is a really wonderful money raising platform because they are wonderful people over there. It's a Christian organization and you have options. You can give, you can share the page, and you can also pray for the family. If you don't have money, you may pray for them and you can send them your prayers. And it's a wonderful, and let me tell you about Give Send Go. I always use Give Send Go to raise money when I need help with either my computer or my legal funds or whatever the hell is going on with me. And when you are raising money on Give Send Go, they are seriously praying for you. I got a phone call from Give Send Go shortly after I raised the money for the Wauwatosa lawsuit. And a woman, I answered the phone, and this woman says, "Hi, my name is so-and-so from Give Send Go. I just wanted to let you know that I have been praying for your campaign, and I see that you made your goal, and I want to pray for you right now. Can I pray for you and for your situation?" I was so blown away by that. These people are serious when they tell you they are praying for you. They are praying for every single one of these fundraisers has somebody at Give Send Go assigned to it to pray for the families and pray for the needs. And I just love that about Give Send Go.
Yeah.
And if you can't send any money to them today, send them your prayers, send them your messages of support. I know that Taki and Matt would appreciate it so much.
Absolutely, yes.
Do we have any updates, Jennifer, on how Aria is doing? Because I know that she is really struggling. Matt said that she is just struggling and with not understanding why she can't be at home and having a lot of trouble. She's only 3 years old. And
she'll be 4 on Friday. So her birthday is Friday.
Matt says that her little light is going out and he's just devastated by it. Those of you who want to hear Matt Hernandez talk about this case, you need to go and watch his interview on my channel. It's pretty heartbreaking, but it needs to be seen. So what are the updates on Aria? How is she doing?
So she gets to see her mom and dad separately every week. Both parents have visits with the girls. Taki was able to have a birthday party last week for Aria, which was wonderful. Taki's church allowed her to have the party there. And she could invite some friends of Aria's, but there's relatives that have bond constrictions with Taki's bond constrictions are keeping certain relatives from being part of this. So while I
Because
think
she's not allowed,
because she
Taki's not
can't have
allowed
contact.
to have contact
Yes.
with her own family. The court has separated her from her own family. They did the
Yes.
same thing to Cindy Absug, separated her from her mother and all of her grown children, the ones who were not involved in any allegations. It is obscene what the courts can do to a family like this. Obscene.
Right. And family that was very close, family that spent a lot of their time with these children. You're cutting that off. And it's just horrible. So the party in itself was great. And Taki is such a beautiful soul. She has such a good attitude and is such a kind person that she's very positive. You know, she speaks very positive about she's thankful for any visit she gets. But to have a 4-year-old who has parents that are not divorced, no one is deceased, and they can't have a joint party together is just really sad. So it's a beautiful kind of sad. If you want anything that's beautifully haunting, I don't know what's more than that you get to see your daughter for a birthday party, but her own father can't be present and aunts and uncles can't be present. It's just heartbreaking. And I'll tell you, looking at pictures and videos of Aria before this nightmare and now, she is a changed child. This is
she'll
a different
never be
child.
the same. This separation from parents, I don't know if people know this, but this is one of the main arguments why child welfare services should be completely overhauled, if not disbanded and destroyed and the ashes salted, is that separation from parents creates brain damage. And I hate to even say this because I know Matt's probably listening and it will hurt him, but it's nothing he doesn't already know because he's seeing it with his own eyes. It actually creates brain damage. And this is why our laws have been written recognizing that separating parents and children is akin to a death penalty. That's what the Supreme Court said. It is one of the worst things you can do to a family. And so you better have it right. You better have done the right thing. You don't err on the side of destroying a family if there are other options. Yeah. This is wrong what is happening.
And keeping them with family. You find out the aunt and uncle, you think something of them. You can't keep these children in foster care wasting taxpayer money when they have family who will take them.
There are 12 other family members willing to take the children. And Jennifer, what did DFACS tell them?
Caseworkers made the comment, first of all, they couldn't make these phone calls. They didn't have time. So if anyone was interested, they needed to call them. Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, every single home has been denied without going through the full process.
It is so sickening that this is happening. For one, that is a violation of our federal laws because family is supposed to come first. Yes. Kinship placement is a law. It is a law. It must be done first. And reunification is supposed to be done first as well. But because they have these trumped up charges against them in criminal court, they can use it as an excuse to keep the children away even longer. I don't know if you can answer this question, but I'm going to ask it. If you can't answer it, just tell me you can't. But I know that the aunt and uncle were possibly facing some kind of investigation or something from DFACS because they were claiming that they had allowed abuse there. Has anything come of that, or are we not talking about that now?
I'm not really talking about it. I can say that nothing has been put against them.
Okay, well, that's good. But also then the question becomes,
yes.
Why the hell did you take her out of their house in the first place? That's absurd. Do you know if there's been any therapy offered or family therapy for the children and for parents?
They have they were talking about putting Aria in some kind of therapy because she was beginning to act out.
Of course.
I mean, she's not acting out 6 months after being removed from her beautiful home because her parents were abusive. She's obviously acting out 6 months later because she misses her family, misses her home, misses her relatives, misses her life. You know, they're in a second daycare. You're not even talking about just being removed. You're talking about being shifted. So many different transporters that pick these kids up, strangers that pick up these kids, take them to a visit, take them to another respite home, my home included. I mean, a transporter that met them that day brought them to my house and told Aria, this is Jennifer. She's your new friend. Do you know how sad that is? Like when it's necessary to keep a kid safe, it's still sad, but it's doable. when it's wrong and shouldn't be happening, it's disgusting. And they've met so many transporters, respite family. So why would she not be acting out? What 4-year-old wouldn't be acting out when she misses her life?
Yeah, but instead of blaming it on themselves because they're the ones who caused it, they're trying to blame it on her family members, which is sick.
That's what they allude to as well, is like she needs therapy, you know, because she's acting out. She's also 4. I mean, anyone who's had a 4-year-old, I don't know what this acting out entails. Is it normal 4-year-old stuff? I'm not sure. You know, I don't dive deep into that by any means, but I can tell you just by looking at pictures and photos, this is a changed child. She is not the same child that she was. Even when we met her in August, she still had a little light about her. She still had Matt calls her a little light, like just a joy, just a happy child.
We've seen the videos of Matt playing the ukulele for her and her dancing around in their living room. And like, it's just, it's heartbreaking. This should not be happening. Do you know if the current foster situation that the girls are in now, is it more stable than the last one? Are they not being moved around anymore? Or is that still going on? Do you know?
I don't believe they're using respite the way that a past foster parent was using respite, but they're crossing some lines as far as what to refer to themselves as, being called mom and dad.
Oh God. Oh no.
So, you know, I've told this story before to try and help Matt and Taki to understand, like, it's so confusing for this child, for Aria. It's so confusing for her. Even kids in our home that we've had, you know, for some, Megan, I would be mommy within an hour. You're talking an hour of a child being in my home. I'm mommy because I'm the mother of the house. They don't know the difference. They don't understand.
That is so sad.
It is so sad. And then I've had a couple older ones who will come to me a week later and say, I have this feeling, this desire to call you mom. And I was able to talk to them about their feelings. In one child in particular, she was 5 years old. I said, you know what? You're probably feeling that way because I'm doing a lot of mom things for you. I'm helping you get dressed. I'm making your food. My kids call me mom, but you have a mom. And we're going to call her tonight and we're going to talk to her. So there's a way to help kids through this confusion that they've been thrown into against their will. And confusing them by telling them to call you mom or dad is not appropriate, especially when they see their mom and dad every week.
We had a little girl that not fostered child, but my mother babysat for a little girl in the neighborhood from the time she was like 8 weeks old until she was, I don't know, 6 or 7. And so she was in our home every day. And she used to call my mom Mommy Marcia. You know, it was so cute. But yeah, kids, because when they're that little, it's hard for them to understand these things. But
and guys, as a good foster parent, there's a way to help them through that. That's my point. There's a way to help kids through that, to remind them, show them photos of their mom and tell them, remember on such and such date, you're going to see mommy again. You don't just have them call you mom or accept them calling you that. You don't do that.
No.
Not if you care.
I just got a notice on Twitter, by the way. This is not related, but I just want to show you guys. This is crazy. I just got a notice that we have found that your account may contain spam or be engaging in other types of platform manipulation. You may not use X's services in a manner intended to artificially amplify, suppress information, or engage in behavior that manipulates or disrupts people's experience or platform manipulation defenses on X. I have not done any of this. I don't know what the hell this means.
That's weird.
The reach of your account may be limited and its content may be temporarily restricted from search. This is ridiculous, Twitter. None of this is true. And, you know, this is exactly, look, it does not surprise me that we are doing that. The last tweet that I put out was that you and I were doing this today. And now this is what I get in response. This is garbage. Let me
Where's
see
your freedom of speech?
I wonder if I can, you know, is there like an appeal? Let's see. They will need to go through a process removing them or appealing. It didn't say I had to remove something though, so I can't appeal that. How do I get rid of this? This is terrible. But okay. What absurd. What the heck, Twitter? Who do I contact about this?
Yeah.
Twitter support?
Who's their fact checkers?
Oh my God, what is this? Is it Twitter support that I ask, or is it now X? I wonder if there's like I don't even know anymore. No, it's no more Twitter support. Maybe X support? God, how annoying. I've never seen this before. Anyway,
Yeah.
see, there's nobody to contact anymore. What the heck? I guess I'll just have to tweet at Elon. All right. Anyway, I've never done any of this. What the hell is this? All right, guys. Again, this is so typical. Oh, I wonder. You know what I wonder? I wonder if this is that woman. So I'm about to have a show on Wednesday with Dave Neal from he's a entertainment reporter, and he's been reporting on the Bachelor paternity case, Clayton Eckerd, and the bunny boiler who's after him, Laura Owens. And I'm about to have him on Wednesday. I guarantee you she's mass flagging my account right now. I guarantee it. That's what's happening. This is the bunny boiler. Attack of the bunny boiler. This should be fun. Gear up for Wednesday, folks, because I hear it's gonna be nuts around here, and I don't care. If you remember my my intro, you want to tangle, you want to go, I'm your girl. Let's go. This is insane. All right. So anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, what have we not heard about? What do we not know since the last time we talked? Is there any good news other than we have new attorneys? That's important. But is there any? Are we getting any movement in a positive direction that you can talk about?
Well, because there's mom and dad, there's juvenile and criminal. So I want people to remember that there's a lot going on there. Some of the current lawyers that have been on board are working really hard. So it's not new lawyers all around. Current lawyers, one in particular who is very caring, very passionate to help families. She's moving forward. She's moving forward to do the right thing. So while I don't have great new news, we know that there is a hearing the 19th, right? So that's the next hearing date.
Is that hearing going to be public? Do you know?
No, juvenile hearings, especially around.
Oh, it's a juvenile hearing. Okay.
Yeah, it's a juvenile hearing. It is open to the public, so you can go.
Okay, so that's interesting. So because we do have people in Georgia who are local. In fact, one of my followers, one of my listeners, she's so great. She's made it her job to visit John Ossoff's office because she only lives a couple minutes away. She's been visiting his office in person until she gets an appointment with him about this case.
That would be amazing. And I'd love for him to walk into that hearing. Wouldn't that be
fabulous?
So awesome. Yeah. Because how can you do these hidden secret things that I think are happening that I can see with my own eyes? You're less likely to do that again when light is shed on the darkness. So why aren't juvenile hearings? They claim, they don't want juveniles to have their yada, yada, yada. We don't want to, tell people too much what's going on with minors. But I feel like we need more transparency in these hearings. Because, again, no one's holding them accountable if nobody has eyes on them. Everybody had eyes on Maya Kowalski's whole case. All of that was live. It's a lot harder to sneak things that are being live streamed.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the criminal case, that we will work real hard to get cameras into that courtroom. If it goes through, I'm hoping that there will be a dropping of charges before then, because this is absurd to make them go through this trial with no evidence. This is a waste of taxpayer money if I've ever seen it. It is such a waste. That's another thing that you guys need to be hitting these local politicians with is this is what you spend our taxpayer money on prosecuting this family when you have no legitimate evidence here of anything other than you don't know what's wrong with this baby. That's the evidence we have. You don't know what's wrong.
And
You're
if
guessing.
It was rickets, like we all suspect because of the vitamin D deficiency, that's something you can outgrow. You outgrow
That's
that.
so scary.
So
So
it's like
scary.
now you might be past the point. And of course, I don't want anything to be wrong with Emma. I would love for Ricketts to be what it was, because that means that she can live a happy, healthy, normal life. And that's what we would all want for her. But you're also talking about you're running past the time where you can run these tests. Because if she got enough vitamin D into her little body, then nothing comes back as anything. So you kind of miss that time frame. But then the state uses that against you. Well, she hasn't been injured anymore since she's been in foster care. But they've also run tests that they haven't given the parents information on, haven't shown them the results to. Why hide so much? If everything was transparent, this would be so much better for everyone. It would be so much better for everyone. That's why I want Ossoff's office to really continue looking into DFACs, because someone should. Everywhere we go, it's roadblocked. All the people you've even talked about, some of us will get responses. Well, there's nothing we can do. We can't do anything with the DFACs. There's nothing we can do. Certain politicians that you vote in, there's nothing I can do. I tried, but it's in the hands of the court.
Yeah, never believe people. Absolutely never believe elected officials when they say there's nothing they can do. They do everything through in backroom deals. They've got phone numbers. They've got people they can call. Don't believe them. Keep on pestering them if they say there's nothing they can do. Tell them, guess what? When we elected you, when people elect you, they think that you do have the ability to do something about the organizations run by the government in your district. And if you don't have any, then if you don't have any ability, then what are you here for? What would you say you do here?
What would you say you do here?
You're not doing your job, and we need you to then you're out. If you can't do anything about it, then you're not the right person for this job, period. Yeah, Mark E says, I am a social worker. 1, 2, we are not all bad. We know that, Mark. Thank you for being a good social worker. I had a family who was hurting their children. I had to beg to get services to that family. It's damned if you do, damned if I don't. I know. This is one of the reasons why I'm so critical of Child Protective Services, because for the children, Ruby Frankie's case in particular, there were something like 12 calls made to Protective Services that went completely ignored. They never investigated her at all. It had to take one of her children escaping and running to a neighbor's house with wounds in his wrists and ankles and starving to death before anybody actually did anything. Again, the case of in Illinois of the little one who was murdered. Oh, I've forgotten his name off the top of my head now. I can't remember. But in Illinois, they had called them. There was 19 calls, a file this big, and DCF never removed him from the house.
Do you not see? But you hear this all the time. You really do. So that happened to me years ago. I made a call to one of my local DFACS workers. I was in a different county at the time, about a little boy at my church who had a burn on his hand. And he said that his dad put his hand on the stove. These kids had a lot of issues going on. It was obvious something bad was happening. I called local DFACS and they said, oh, there's nothing we can do. You need to call the 1-800 number. One, that's actually not true. But I called the 1-800 number. Nothing ever happened. I reported it 3 or 4 times. Nothing ever happened until something horrible happened. And then the police got involved. So you have people who are calling and making these reports about things they've seen, things they've witnessed, and they're worried about specific kids and nothing happens. Then you have parents walking into a hospital, bringing in their sick baby, confused and worried, and that's who you rip away. People need to see that it's not an isolated case. This is not just the Hernandez case, although I'm passionate about this. There are other families. There's 3 others, Megan, right within the same accusing hospital that I talk to almost weekly, but they haven't come forward and told their story because lawyers don't want them to. They're nervous about retaliation. So this is a lot. This is not an isolated case. And they're all the same. Are they
talking? I hope those families are talking to the reporter as well. I hope this is something they're doing.
So far, none of these 3. I've asked all 3, like you should, but their lawyers
don't want them to. Are the same doctors involved? Is Pena involved?
Yes.
Pena.
By the way, Brown.
Do the attorneys know about Pena's YouTube?
Yes, I made sure they had that, and I made sure the investigative reporter also had that. His teachings.
because this thing that he did, this training thing that he did about how to identify neglect, if I can find the right PowerPoint screen, it kills me because he talks about checking boxes. It's all about checking boxes, by the way, with these people. If I had been looked at like he suggests, my children could have been taken from me too on any occasion.
I don't see how any parent can survive his level of testing.
I don't either. I don't understand it. Risk
if you hover too much, I mean, if you don't hover enough,
hover enough. If you're a helicopter parent, you're neglectful. If your kids are too skinny, you're neglectful. But if they're too fat, you're also an abuser. They want to come after fat kids now instead of just teaching people how to eat right and how to feed their kids right. It's incredible. Let's see. Look at this. Directly harming the child or placing the child at risk of harm. Life is risk, Highness. Life is risk, usually through caregiver omission. Things that you don't say now are held against you, I guess.
Yes.
Neglect occurs the way his definitions. I'm looking for the one specific thing because I'm looking at it and I'm going, wow, I could have by this.
What about the
definition,
first-time mom, like first-time parent? That's like a sign for you to pay close attention because they're first-time parent. How do you skip that?
I like this one too. Risk factors: poverty or affluence. You can't be too poor and you can't be too rich. What? What? Caregiver depression, gifted children, or a passive child. Kids going through puberty? What? This doesn't even make sense. These are all normal things that all children.
And that's who you're talking about, is the one who gets to say, this family stays separate. I mean, that should bother people.
Look at this one. Lack of stimulation or nutrition in an infant, which of course totally rules out, doesn't rule out underlying medical causes for these things.
Right.
Toddlers, wrong ingestions, like things they shouldn't eat, animal bites and burns. All of those things can happen by accident too.
Yes. Yes.
And yet the way that he decides like what's an accident and is not an accident is freaking terrifying.
Right.
Failure to prevent an accident, he thinks is neglect. It's like, well, wait a minute. If I let my child climb a tree, knowing they could fall out of a tree, like I know that could happen, that's the risk of climbing a tree, then I'm abused. I guess I'm an abuser then, because I could have prevented it by saying you're not allowed to climb trees. But then again, does that make
you're not
me
letting
a
them
helicopter?
live?
I'm a helicopter parent, and on the other side, this guy could say that you're abusing them as well. It's outrageous. This guy's
and
here it is. Diagnosing neglect. This is my favorite part. Here it is. Diagnosing. Did harm occur or a high risk of harm? Okay. Well, but my husband, for instance, was playing with my little one in a pile of leaves, and he was swinging around by her arms, and he dislocated her elbow. It's called nursemaid's elbow. Happens all the time. Did harm occur? Yes. Was there a high risk for harm while he was swinging her around? I guess you could say yes. Was there a caregiver omission? Did he not say something? How do you know if there's a caregiver omission?
Right.
Like, what? This is.
Are they going to tell you they're omitting it? I mean.
Right. It's so strange. Like, you're just determined that he didn't tell you something. How do you know? Was the incident foreseeable? Well, yeah, I guess if you're swinging around a little one by her arms, it's foreseeable that there could be a dislocation. So yes, you'd have to answer yes to that. Same with my tree incident. Yes, the incident was preventable. I could have said no tree climbing, or he could have said, no, we won't play in this pile of leaves. So it was preventable, right? It's preventable.
No fun for you.
Right. If yes to all four equals neglect, you could answer yes to all of these for any childhood injury.
Yes.
This is an absurd and obscene. And by the way, this is Dr. Emmanuel Pena. He is the child abuse doctor who testified against the Hernandezes. This guy loves to be on YouTube. He loves to be like, he's featured in like, young and upcoming doctors or whatever in Atlanta. He's very petted and in the media. This guy has a big ego. He also has 4 children. So it concerns me. I don't know how he can have these views while also having 4 children and knowing how children are and how accident prone they can be.
I've thought about this. Like, are these people evil to their core, or are they just ignorant? Like, is it a mix of both? I don't know. I really struggle with that, because how would you raise children? How would you raise them and not know that accidents do happen?
I think he believes his own garbage, and I think he has a big ego, and I think he doesn't want to be wrong.
Well, his own garbage pays him well.
Mm-hmm.
It pays him well. So yeah, maybe that is a lot to do with it.
M169, thanks for the super chat, says, I shared your article on X and tagged Marjorie Taylor Greene. I reposted and tagged you so your followers can tag her as well. That's a great idea, and we need to also call her office, so I will add her information to the call sheet, to the action sheet for you guys. M169, again, thanks for the super chat. Oh, did you send 2 of the same one? Okay, I gotcha. I see ya. Thank you so much. And don't forget, you guys, to go over to the Give Send Go and donate to the Hernandezes today, because that's what we're looking for. They need to have their legal representation. Oh, look at you. We're up to 1626. That is, let's see, I took a note of what it was before we started this today. We're looking at, it was 1430. So almost $200 raised today, folks. Almost $200 raised for their legal fund. Thank you so much for doing that. Please do send any support you have. Please share the Give Send Go on social media. And I would appreciate it if you would do that. Please let people know this is for a good cause. The legal fund is something that, they will absolutely use. It will be put to good use. And now they have good attorneys who are really fighting for them. Thank God, because that's what they needed. They really needed that. So, Jennifer, I'm not going to keep you any longer today. I feel like we got through pretty much everything. Did I miss anything that we needed to know about what's going on and what to expect next?
I mean, as far as the case, I think we really did cover a lot. I want people to understand and realize that this can happen to anyone that you know or love. So while you don't know Emma and Aria, you have someone in your life, kids, nieces, nephews, your neighbor's kid, grandkids. Everybody knows a child, and kids are innocent, and we really do need change. So making these emails and calls really will not take much time out of your day, but they could make a big impact. Because I want it to aggravate these people to pieces, that they're getting constant emails from strangers regarding this situation. I want it to annoy them.
Me too.
I spend hours of my life now, hours and hours of my life emailing, researching, doing interviews, Zoom calls. You Are the Power has been amazing. They are a super great activist group, and they have really supported this family. Along with Parents Behind the Pinwheels, have been amazing. Your followers, it's so appreciated. I mean, these are strangers. Your followers don't know this family. And I really appreciate it. It's really beautiful to see strangers jump on board on a live. They love you, and I know that, but they care about what you care about, because you care about big things. You care about important things. And it does kind of make me smile at the end of the day to say there are good people in the world. I know there's good doctors. I know there's good nurses. I know there's good law enforcement. There's good caseworkers. I wish those would speak up more. And when they see the bad, I wish they would call it out more. I think that would help. Don't you?
I do.
Whistleblowers.
Anthony, I love this. Anthony 1922 says Gmail has a schedule send feature. I didn't even consider this. So you can set up an email campaign all on your own from your own Gmail to send emails every day if you want.
That's amazing.
And you don't even have to do it. So Google how to use Gmail schedule send feature and do it for this case. I might do that. That's it. And you can set it up to email these people every day. They should get, it doesn't matter if it's coming from the same account. They need to be bothered as much as possible to do something about this.
Yeah.
This is something that, look, if it happened to your family, you would hope that there would be people out there who would do this for you. And we cannot let this injustice go on. It's just wrong. After what we saw in the Maya Kowalski case and the horrible outcome for that family, losing her mother, this is a real problem. It is a real concern that parents will get desperate and that they will self-harm. It has happened in the past. We cannot allow our systems that are supposed to be protecting the people and protecting justice, we cannot let them turn into weapons against the people. This must end. It must end.
And all the support from your viewers and all these emails and them watching this, that lifts the parents and the families' emotions up. It makes them not feel alone, because when you don't hear back from politicians and you don't hear back from DFACs and no one's listening, and you have strangers sending money, strangers sending prayers and positive comments, it means a lot. I mean, it means a lot to me. You know, it's very meaningful. So that small little bit of effort can go a long way for this family.
Red Storm on Locals. I've got a members only live chat going on Locals right now. meganfox.locals.com. You guys need to get over there. Use promo code Maya for a discount. But Red Storm says, hell, I have over 3,000 emails from them asking for money. We can harass them with emails too.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. You know, look, it's true. Like, you know, they have no qualms about sending you emails, and that's what they're there for. That, you know, your elected officials are there to take your calls. Government workers are part of the system. They answer to the people. We are their supervisors. And when they're doing things that we find abhorrent, they need to hear from us. And we're going to do it in a civil way. We're going to do it in a calm way. We aren't going to lose our tempers, and we're not going to use the swear words we want to use, because I know how you want to sound. You want to sound like this.
You will pay for what you've done. And I pray that God send angels to visit vengeance upon you.
I know you want to say that, but that's what we could be saying on the inside while we write very, very calm emails, and just send them every day. You know, and here's the deal. I believe that Governor Kemp and all these people I put on the list, most of them I think would be very sympathetic when they get the facts of this case. I think they're going to be on our side. I don't think there's any chance, especially with all the problems that Georgia DFACs is having with losing 1,700 kids and all of that. There's no way that these people are going to be like, well, we think they know what they're doing, because they all know they don't. So, and I think I showed you the day that I called the governor's office. You can have long conversations with the governor's aides and just get them interested. That's all you have to do, is have a conversation with them and be like, look, I heard about this terrible story in your state, and I know that the governor would want to know that this grave injustice is being done to one of his citizens and a family in his state. I know he would. Appeal to their sense of empathy, appeal to their sense of humanity, because at the end of the day, all of these people are human beings with families of their own, and they don't want to be in this situation either. So I know that we can do this. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button before you leave here. Tonight, tune in at 7 p.m. to this channel. I will have juror number 1. Paul and Yolanda, and his juror number 1's wife, Yolanda, will be on this channel at 7 p.m. from the Maya Kowalski case. We will be interviewing juror number 1 and his wife. And it will be very interesting, I'm sure. We're going to get some more details about what it was like to be on a jury of such a high-profile case. We're going to talk about a lot of things, and it's going to be great. So please make sure you're back here for that. In the meantime, if you have time today, set up those automatic Gmail emails going to the different people in this case. I will try to update the call sheet and put MTG's info on there, and you know, anybody else I can think of at the time. One of the things we need to do, some of you out there who've been helping me with compile information, the hospital itself has a board at the Child Abuse Center that we need to start contacting. I haven't put their information up there yet.
My sister looked into that, actually. I remember.
Yeah, what's it called again? Do you remember what it's called?
No, I can't.
Okay.
She found it and brought it up to me.
All right. So the other thing I need to put on there is the Scottish Rite. I was told by a member of the Scottish Rite that if they heard about this, because the Scottish Rite is the actual branch that this happened at, that the Scottish Rite would be very interested in, and they give a lot of money to this hospital. So I'm going to start adding that information. It's time to start calling the Scottish Rite and talking to them about where they're donating their money and why they should perhaps consider stopping or tell the hospital, we're not going to give you more money to fund these child abuse investigators who are, terrorizing families. But there's all kinds of other avenues. So I'm going to spend some time updating that. But then please get back here in time for 7 p.m. for the interview with juror number 1 that will be happening on this channel tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing the updates with the case. Please tell the Hernandez family, please tell Matt and Taki that we are with them. We are praying for them. We are going to help them in any way that we can. And if they need anything, they know where to find me and how to find me. And I'm happy to speak with them some more.
Absolutely. Thank you again. And thank you to all the followers. It really does mean a lot. It's really nice to see a community come together and care for this family.
All right, everybody. That's it for me for now. And I will see you again at 7 p.m. Those of you on locals, you're probably going to see me. I may do a bring my chat to work stream because I've got an article to write and I may want to do that with you. So stay tuned on locals and I'll see you again at 7 p.m. everybody.
Lost, my world is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. Oh, and my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices, and my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye.
Johnny's problem is he should come storming in there with a string of garlic and some holy water.
The cross.
May the power of Christ compel you.
No, I don't.
You realized his house was infested with succubuses.
Of what? Yes.
Succuloters.
When you arrived in there, I don't remember saying it now. So
no wonder he said drown her before you burn her.
Oh my God.
Your next witness?
Now I know why you did the drowner.
That is also
in
by
Romania.
video.
Is that correct?
That is a